Que Bola, the podcast that asks you what middle school you go to.
You gotta,
and I know what you meant.
And I know what you're talking about.
Rockaway represent.
Everybody knows what's up.
Que Bola un tiburón. From Cafeteria Films Studios in Miami, Florida, Phresh presents Que Bola, where we talk to various movers and hustlers in South Florida who are popping off and succeeding, and in the process, how they're influencing the 305 culture. My name is Darwin Figueroa, and I am your host. I hope you enjoy this, and let's get into it, all right? Listo. In this episode, we sat down with the very talented cast and crew of Cafeteria Film Studios, the studios where I make the Que Bola podcast. It's so awesome that everybody sat down and talked to me about what it is that Cafeteria Film Studios actually does, how they go about doing all the various things that they do, all the awesome video production things that they do. I was super blessed and happy that I was able to sit down and talk to these talented people about all the various things that they do to put on for video production in South Florida. Thank you so much for listening to Que Bola podcast, and let's get into it. Listo.
Is that a mem?
Yes, it's a mem.
All right.
I'll find it for you.
So we're recording. We live in the studio with the creators, the people, the ones to talk to, the ones who are chewing right now on their snacks and shit, because I just turned this shit live quick, you know what I mean?
Why you gotta blow his spot up like that?
This is an ASMR podcast.
This is the reunion of, what is it? Whataburger? What was the name of the
Wacky Deli.
Wacky
Deli.
Wacky Deli. This
That
is the
doesn't
Wacky Deli,
exist.
Where Are They Now episode with Cafeteria Films and all the individuals that comprise Cafeteria Films. Thank you so much for coming on to Que Bola, talking to us and letting everybody know what y'all doing here in South Florida, how y'all putting on through your crafts and the whatnot. So I'm going to start off basically introducing each one of you, Debbie, Carlos, Brian, Nelson. Probably, let me go, Debbie, you're to the right. So you're the first one. Come on and let everybody know your name and what you do here at Cafeteria Films and what is your expertise.
Hi, I'm Debbie, and I'm a director of photography.
That's it?
I guess I'm also kind of a creative director sometimes, maybe director. I don't know. I do a lot of things here.
What is creative director? What's the difference between creative director and director of photography?
Director of photography.
Enormously different. They're like totally different jobs.
Director of photography is strictly related to the camera.
Okay. And creative director is basically the entire vision of what it'll be or something like that?
Yeah, I guess creative direction of a certain projects and stuff.
Okay. Carlos, introduce yourself.
Hey.
Hey, what's up?
This is Carlos.
This is Carlos.
I'm Carlos. I started Cafeteria Films some time ago.
Okay, how long ago?
We started it, what is it? Technically 2011?
2011?
2011 when I left my last marketing job, and I was
Okay.
like, I want to do film stuffs. And I was doing film on the side, and I had done film beforehand. And basically, it was the name that I chose for my LLC initially, and it just evolved into what we are now at this point.
Okay, so you started off with the name. You're the one who picked the name.
I did.
Okay. And what's your besides like founder, what other hat do you wear?
What other hat do I wear? I mean, I think part of what we pride ourselves on doing as a unit, I mean, we are more of a film unit and collective than we are a company in some ways. But it's wearing a lot of hats. I mean, I direct mostly. I edit a lot. I sell to make us money.
Okay.
I think it's a lot of different hats and a lot of different things. It depends on what the corporate identity is and what the creative identity is, really.
All right. So do you also consider yourself creative director?
It says it on my business card.
Okay. All right.
We can't see your business card
official.
on the thing.
What?
We can't hear your business card, Carlos.
Can you hear my email signature? Does that work?
For the
Nope, that doesn't work either.
For the listeners at home, there is no business card on the table, so you're not really missing anything.
Okay. So Brian, introduce yourself, brother.
Hey, name's Brian O'Leary. I generally just bug Carlos for a living, but as a hobby, I also edit most of our videos. I help with, general office management occasionally. Wear different hats just like the rest of us.
He's playing Kingpin on season 3 of Daredevil.
Okay.
Look out for that.
Shout out.
I'm bulking right now for it.
Nice. I see that through the beer. That's how we bulk up
Yeah,
here in Miami.
carb heavy. It's like a liquid.
Hard heavy carb bulk up.
Carbo
Yeah,
loading.
it's like a liquid sumo diet.
Sorry, I like that.
All right, so technically you're his stunt double, but you're also his understudy. So you're just hoping that Vincent D'Orfino doesn't have anything going on, and that you got the role though. As far as
Or
I'm
that he
concerned.
has too much going on.
He might.
He's got it all going on, man. He was
Who's Vincent Carafino?
Vincent D'Orfino is you know him from Full Metal Jacket as Private Pile.
also Men in Black.
Men
the
in
villain.
Black. He's the cockroach dude.
Oh, that guy.
mean,
that's
Law and
all you have to
Order.
say is Men in Black.
Law and
Cockroach,
Order.
I know who it is.
What was the name of that J-Lo movie he did? The Cell or something?
Was he? Oh, that's right.
He was
one of
the-
the
Oh, he
fucking
was
dudes in the
inside
cell.
of
He was the
in
crazy guy.
head.
I gotta watch
He
that.
always plays a good crazy person.
Yeah, he's fantastic at it.
So Nelson, introduce yourself, bro.
Yeah, I mean, in the middle of like human IMDb. My name is Nelson. I am on my business card. It says I'm a producer.
Nice.
And I do anything we have to do to get the film made.
All right, I like that.
If I need to hold a camera, if I need to reflect something, edit, write, whatever we need to do.
So as a collective, all you guys are Cafeteria Films.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
So, but I've always thought of you guys kind of like, Power Rangers, where they came together and made that one big motherfucking Power Ranger, the one that did everything, but individually you guys did your own individual things. Is that more or less like a good description for you guys, where you guys like?
80% of my metaphors are also Megazord metaphors.
I'm the Pink
actually.
Ranger.
I'm happy to hear someone else say that.
Maybe the Yellow Ranger though.
You're more of a Kimberly.
If each one of you had a Power Ranger, which one would be your color?
Zach Black, for sure.
You're Zach Black,
100%.
and you,
I don't
you're
know.
pink.
I don't think I
You're
remember.
Pink Ranger
I
or
don't-
White
I
Ranger?
feel like I would be yellow.
Pretty like stereotyped roles on that one. I don't know. I feel like this is a racism trap.
Power Ranger racism.
Fun sexism
Definitely
trap.
Alpha 5.
Yeah, so each one of you guys do your own thing, and then you guys put together all your creative juices, and then you put together Cafeteria Films, and you knock things out. So more or less, what kind of films and videos do you guys produce? You know, in general, what is it that you guys like to do, and what is it that you most like do more of? Excuse me.
Well, first and foremost, it's what we can get paid for.
Okay.
If we can make money and we can support a living, that usually takes precedent. But anytime any one of us has an idea for something, we're always just like super fucking psyched, and everybody can be like, okay, we'll pile in, get ideas, and make it happen. But each of us has a very different angle or what it is that we like to do. I mean, like I prefer like horror films and action films or things of that nature. And
That's the kind of genre you like to work on.
yeah, I mean, I like genre films in general. But I know everybody here, like everyone, again, comes from a different background, even though we're all kind of technically becoming more the same in that sense.
What kind of films you like doing, Debbie?
I don't know. I like kind of like slow meandering movies.
Like French movies?
Probably.
Because that's what that fucking reminds me of.
Just picture you watching a French movie, you're like, I don't even know what the fuck this is saying.
He turns on the subtitles. He's like, "Oh no, this is tight, actually."
It's just like long ass shots of just people talking to each other.
I mean,
in
I
a
guess
bed
like
and shit.
what I want. Yeah,
It's like, what the
I want to
fuck?
make those movies.
Oh man, come on, bro! I need some action in my life.
But I mean, I watch all kinds of stuff.
I mean, some of the most intense moments of your life has happened just laying in bed talking to somebody.
Yeah, that's true, but like I don't. But in my head, when I'm experiencing it, it's different than if I'm fucking watching somebody go through that. You know, like I'm watching you go through that. Unless you're giving me a really good performance, that I'm like really intense into how you're doing it.
You
Well,
gotta
that's
give
maybe you're
in.
not falling in. You know.
Yep, you gotta give in a little bit.
Well, I
Like,
don't
You
know.
gotta cry it out sometimes.
I don't know, but like films to me, like films, they all have like I always come at it like, okay, you have a point that you're trying to pursue here in this film, and it's kind of like I'm a contrarian to it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, all right, I know what you're trying to get me to think, so I'm not gonna think that, you know, or I'm gonna like already figure it out before you even try to tell me that. So it's like I don't really.
That's
it's hard
me
for
when
me
I'm
to
high.
fall into films. Like
Well, I mean,
that.
that's-
So you refuse suspension of disbelief. Like that's just like you just won't give into that shit.
Yeah, it's just like it's.
But what if you did though? What if you found
Yeah,
yourself?
then I'd
in
be
that?
like fucking Avengers number 5 lover.
All right,
you know what I'm
Darren.
saying?
Darren,
Like,
how
people
old
like
were
that.
you when Independence Day came out?
Independence Day, I was probably like, when did I come out? Like
97.
97.
96, 97.
I was probably like 12.
All right.
13?
When you were in the movie theater, were you just like, I know what's gonna happen? They're gonna blow up the goddamn spaceship, or you were like, what? Right?
No, I will. Yeah, that was a big turning point in my life.
In all of our lives. In all of our lives.
I know you say that
Maybe
smiling,
I need to rewatch
but I
that.
know it's true.
No, it was a big
I know
it
you
was a
had
big
that-
movie like back then, but that's when like movies meant something, you know what I'm saying? And like you paid for it, and like you were watching it with all your friends, and you were watching it in a theater. Now you don't experience movies like that. Like, when was the last time anybody really went to a theater? And if you did go to a theater, when was it last time that it was packed theater?
You know you're
Where
talking to like
experienced
4 film nerds. I go to
Yeah.
theaters like
That's
twice a
true,
week.
you guys.
Go to the
This
movies.
is what
We're
you
the
guys
I mean,
do.
listen,
Wrong crowd.
I love sitting at home and watching movies on my TV in my bed, not wearing pants.
That's what's
love,
up.
Love that.
Sitting in bed, butt
But
ass naked, watching movies.
Exactly.
And I love
But
going to the
and there
theaters
are
with no
movies
pants.
that I'll see the trailer, I'm gonna be like, cool, I want to see that movie, but I want to see it in my house.
Shout
and there are
out-
movies where you're like, you gotta go to the movie theater to really enjoy that film.
But also shout out Gilmore Girls on Netflix. What
Watch
was
the whole
final-
thing.
What was the final
It was
season?
great.
Are we getting
Amazing.
anywhere here, guys?
I think I'm getting to a deeper understanding.
I think we're accidentally in one of Debbie's movies.
No,
Just a long meandering point about nothing.
For
this is
real.
gonna be
I
another
think-
episode of Wacky Deli.
Whackadeli.
So-
It literally doesn't exist. Don't.
So
go
then, how'd
looking
you guys
for it.
start? Like, how did you guys start loving films and like going into your individual craft? Starting with you, Nelson. How did you start off with actually in the industry? Like, not like loving films, because you're probably like, oh, I was 4th grade and I was watching this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
when did you actually say, okay, I'm gonna start making bread off of this and make a living out of this motherfucker?
Yeah, so I did communication and journalism and all that shit, and I tried, writing for a bunch of different people, had a bunch of odd jobs, and then I just started PAing, like being a production assistant for reality TV shows that would come film here, and then it just kind of snowballed from there. And it was like anybody who was like, "Yo, I remember this guy from this other job," and so I just kept getting jobs that way. And then you do, production manager, production
So
coordinator.
you kind of like stumbled into it.
No, I mean, I was working at an agency at the time. I think I'd met Brian, and Brian suggested, like, oh, go just PA for people and shit. And here's some websites to check out. So I just go check out postings.
But did you study it, or you were
No,
just
I didn't do
started like
film-
working in
I
the
didn't do
space?
film specifically. I did again the communication. So like the last project, for example, like you do video and you would interview people, set up laugh mics, very standard shit. Learn how to edit very basically. And all that, but it was like as a PA, like you're just a motherfucker that's gonna show up and just do shit. So
Kind of like a gopher.
you gopher. Yeah. So I did that for a while. Bounced around, just met a lot of people. Yeah, when I was younger, I would shoot short films with my friends and stuff, but I never thought there was any money in it. So I went to go be a journalist, which no fucking money in it either. So, and then I met Brian. We wrote together for a while, and then he met Carlos and put us together, and I just started working for him like the week after.
So all you guys kind of like stumbled into your jobs, like because each one of you had your own little path into working in the industry.
Absolutely. I
Did
mean,
all of you, but what I want to get to know is, did you guys actually study the space, or did you just
None
like
of us
jump
studied
in?
it.
None of us
So
studied it.
none of you guys study. So you guys are just all like YouTube University and like shit like that.
Yeah,
Like go getters.
I
Like
studied-
learning the space.
I studied digital photography, in which I learned lighting and exposure and all that stuff. And so that translated well for what what I'm doing now. But I had no idea that I would be doing what I'm doing now. Maybe like 6 years ago, I would have never guessed that I would be here doing this.
Okay, so it's not something that you projected and this is where I'm gonna be. And when you started Cafeteria Films, you didn't project, oh, this is what it's gonna be. It's just like, I'm gonna do this because the opportunity presented itself.
I mean, I don't know that I could predict the shape, but I think I've wanted to be a filmmaker since I was like 14.
Okay.
I mean, like, I did another job in my 20s for a little bit, just marketing stuff for the sake of it. But I think, yeah, my heart's been here and been thinking about how to make movies and make things related to film forever. But that's, I mean, a lot of us come from it in different perspectives, just because I thought about it for longer than, say, Debbie has, it doesn't mean that we're better. Film is like that. We grow up with film around us. We're all relatively sophisticated in it. If there's a bad audio cut in a film, you'll notice it. If there's a bad visual cut, you'll notice it.
Yeah.
It's the medium of how we obtain most of our knowledge about the world. But about Cafeteria itself, I would say the real reason that I even grew it beyond myself initially was I had too much work at the time.
Oh, okay. Individually. You
Yeah,
had alone by yourself.
I had too much work at the time that I was doing, and I needed to hire somebody else. And this is actually kind of an interesting story. The idea of how we really started like this, I met Brian at a bar.
Okay.
Like,
Here in Miami?
Here in Miami.
Yeah.
Randomly.
Wood Tavern.
Wood Tavern. Like, I was drunk as shit, I believe. And
Normally, that's a good place to be
and
drunk
I was just
at.
talking. I talked to him because he had a Dolphins shirt on. And I was like, "Yeah, fuck the Dolphins," and he's just like, "I work for them."
Yeah.
And the idea of that, we started talking shit. We started talking about Doctor Who and whatever. And then I gave him
Boards
his
of
number.
Canada.
I gave him my number. And then we dated. No.
What?
And then
They went steady for like
happily
3
married,
months.
3 kids. It's beautiful, man.
And then Brian actually, he's one of those people that you like get their contact from at a random place that'll actually call you back.
Yeah.
And he did do that at the time. And then he's like, you remind me of my friend, and I met Nelson. And by the way, we look pretty similar. We're like 6'1". Yeah, there we go. 6'1", flat-footed, balding motherfuckers.
Okay.
With glorious beards.
Glorious beards.
All right.
He introduced me to Nelson, and Nelson was looking for some work to get into this, so we started together. Debbie, I knew, like as a friend.
Yeah.
She was dating a friend of mine at the time. We went to the same high school together.
What high school did you go to?
Southwest.
Southwest? You're an Eagle?
Southwest.
Yeah.
What high school did you go to?
Southwest.
Southwest Eagle. What high school you went to, Brian?
Coral Gables.
Coral Gables. What high school you went to?
Christopher Columbus High School.
Christopher Columbus.
Christopher Columbus High School.
That's so sad.
There's actually another one too. No, I don't say it's sad. It's just every time you say Columbus, there's a 50-50 split of the kind of motherfucker you're gonna get.
Yeah, okay.
So,
I mean,
then you
it's
get-
life in general. There's a 50%
Yeah.
you're gonna get in the first place.
yeah,
that's
I'm
true.
then let me say it this way: I'm a proud alumnus of Christopher Columbus High School.
Proud alumnus
There you
of
go.
Christopher Columbus. Are you a proud alumnus
Really? We're
of
going with
Southwest?
proud?
Is anybody a proud alumnus of Southwest?
Yes, bro. My sister graduated from Southwest. She's
Like
a
I graduated
Southwest
from
Eagle.
Westchester. Like,
School of
place
Hard
Vesta,
Knocks.
Westchester.
but so the story is, I mean, Debbie and I worked. I think I hired her as a photographer for something.
Debbie's
and then,
still repping Southwest right now.
with that purple.
Yes, purple and black.
It's purple white.
Debbie had a client that maybe we could pretend to know enough to make a commercial for them.
Okay.
And so
And boy,
it,
howdy.
Yeah, it was the three of us, and it was a hair care commercial,
Mm-hmm.
and we just fucking lied our way through it. To be honest
Yeah.
with you, like we look at that commercial, and it's a
Cringeworthy.
weird one. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a little cringeworthy.
I had no idea that I didn't know what the fuck I was doing.
You didn't know what you didn't know.
I thought I knew, but I didn't.
But that's half of the thing. Like selling it with confidence, like you know, is half of like everything. Literally,
Oh,
like,
I-
till you
every
make it.
fucking thing. Fake
I
it till you
thought I
make
knew
it
what
for
I
real.
was doing,
It's true.
and
she
then I
did.
realized.
So and that's what launched Cafeteria.
No, that's
No.
what launched Debbie started to working with us.
That's what. Yeah.
Oh.
yeah, so
okay.
launched Debbie being a DP.
Yep.
All right. And was that the coalescing moment? What was the first time where all four of you guys worked on one project?
What's funny when
Oh, reach on.
What?
Was it Rejon?
Reach on?
it's a
I don't
very
talk
bad
about
corporate video that we did at the time.
Oh, okay. So it's
Reach
a
around.
corporate video.
Yeah, I mean, I think, it's 20 minutes maybe into this, and we have yet to describe what we actually do.
Yeah. Yeah.
I point cameras at things.
But yeah, I think Brian ended up joining the team a little bit later, and it's funny because like we also had too much work to do at the time, and we needed another person. And so the first week that Brian worked for us, we were like, "All right, Brian, here's your computer, here's the footage. We're going to Coachella. Bye."
And we left him in an agency of approximately 150 people, none of whom he knew,
Nice.
Well, we were at Coachella
while we were at Coachella.
taking drugs.
We
Nice.
also went to
Enjoying
NAB. We
yourselves.
did some industry research.
We
Did
did
we?
work. We did work. We ate a lot of tacos.
We
We
got our
played
butts
some blackjack.
grabbed.
Butts were grabbed. It's a good time.
We did indoor skydiving.
That's right.
Nice.
It was a
That
good
was
time.
actually the only one who was good at it.
On video?
Do we have? a
No,
video?
I don't think we got.
You didn't pay for a video. No,
What? No.
no, hold on. Now I'm upset because I didn't know this because Debbie was the only one who was actually good at it. The rest of us are like, you can not die while doing it. That's enough for me.
Well, Debbie's like super fucking lightweight, so I'm
No.
I
assuming-
don't know about
No,
that.
she just-
I got
she
tangled
just-
up in silks yesterday in my anti-gravity yoga class.
It's not that she took to it like a bird takes to water.
Literally
you know.
like a bird.
Yeah, and she
Flying.
flew. No, motherfucker was fucking flinging her around the fucking goddamn place and shit.
Bird.
But no, she was really good at it. I assumed you had bought the video. That's what I thought. Because I didn't want to buy my video because I'm just like, what the fuck? I want to see myself like
Oh, did
flopping
you guys
around and
see
shit.
your videos? Did you buy them?
even think we saw them. We
No,
just
no.
wanted to get out and then
So
go
you
get
guys all
drunk.
dipped
we were
out on
ripped.
Brian, left him with a shitload of work, went to fucking flying to
Not
sky
a
high
shit-
places.
Not
and
a
shit.
shitload. Not.
It was like one project. and
Oh,
then, like,
okay.
We
I
just
did
needed
it
a
in, like,
body
half
at the
a day.
office.
Okay.
We were gonna.
So you
get-
guys like kind of use them like as your vacation, right then, because you're like, oh, we're like super fucking
It was coverage.
vacation, little baby vacation at the beginning.
Well, Brian came from a background of a more structured setting. He had done, MTV. He had done.
So you work
Fusion,
like
he had done-
official,
Yeah, Brian-
like in
Yeah, I've worked in the Dolphins Productions, MTV. I've worked in a lot of Viacom videos, Comedy Central.
Okay.
And I also worked at Fusion.
Okay. So then, like, all that prepared you for like being able to take on that project by yourself when everybody rolled out.
Yeah, I was pretty confident I could do it.
And then after that, you guys started working. That was the first project that you guys worked together. After that, you guys have been
We've
together.
been together
coordinated.
ever since. I mean, I think 3 offices, about 5 years since then, really.
Yep.
So you guys been
No,
together
it's been
5
like
years now?
4 years since then, I think.
4.5.
I don't know.
don't
Check
even know
IMDb.
anymore.
Or not IMDb. LinkedIn.
Please
Zero
don't.
dollars.
LinkedIn knows
Please
has been
don't.
keeping track of this.
So what?
Don't check
So
IMDb.
what exactly? Like you were saying, let's go back to what exactly do you guys produce here? Like what is your big bread and butter? Okay.
Bread and butter is.
Everybody has one bread and butter. Everybody has everything that they want to do on the back burner they love, but the bread and butter is coming from one spot. Where's that? Where that bread and butter at?
It's more Texas toast, really.
Okay, so where's your Texas toast?
No,
That's just
seriously,
good
it's an
as fuck.
obsession, and we've been doing it for the past 2 years. That's why.
Yeah, we're kind of in a transitional period right now, but would you guys like to explain?
Explain this. Explain it to me, please.
Okay. I think after a few years of being together and doing commercials and corporate videos and surviving in its own way, we have thankfully had a lot of success going straight to original content, and now we make 1 and hopefully 2 TV shows for Scripps Network, People Who Bring You Food Network. We make a TV show called Carnivorous. There's about 25 episodes of that now.
Okay.
Is that the right number?
I think so.
Something like that.
2 seasons.
Two
It's a
seasons.
lot.
Two
Two
seasons.
seasons.
We have another show that we can't tell you the name of that hopefully will be broadcast by our lovely bosses at Scripps Network, or rather Discovery Channel. What are they called?
Discovery. I think
Discovery
it's
Network?
just
Discovery-
Network.
Discovery Scripts? Or
Discovery
they
Network.
get merged or something?
Scripps is
Yes,
somewhere.
yeah, Discovery just
Scripts,
purchased.
Scripts Discovery.
They did get merged, yes.
Okay, so discover some scripts,
Discover some Scripps.
We'll go.
and they're the top dogs.
Oh, they own a lot of channels
They
now.
own, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
that's crazy.
HGTV, Travel Channel. Like
the
a lot.
Asian Cooking Network, which is an actual
Asian
thing.
Cooking Network.
Go ahead
That's
and
the
look it up. Yeah, Country Home Living. They're again.
You go
when they,
deep
when they,
in,
cause,
in their
cause when they-
channel line.
Well, when they brought us on, immediately I was
Work
like,
for
"Oh,
them, dog.
yeah.
Of course we go deep in
I'm
their channel
good at
line.
I'm good at what I do, and I obsess over things." But no, like when they brought us on, I was like, "Oh, what other networks do they have?" And I was like, "Yo, they own all this shit." I was like, "I didn't know this shit existed. It's amazing."
That's
Yeah,
dope.
it's just like when I worked at Viacom and I found out they own like a third of the cable
Oh,
channels.
Viacom owns everything, son.
But,
Literally.
but that's how TV is. Like the grand majority of TV is like 5 conglomerates.
Yeah.
For the most part.
So you guys worked your way up to the TV shows and things like that. You started off with the corporate commercials.
Kind
and,
of, yeah. I mean, I think working our way up is a weird way of thinking about that.
Okay.
'Cause I think
so. Explain it to me.
if you have a production company, and thanks to technology, it's a lot easier to run a production company. There's not easier, but there's more. The barrier for entry is lower. Equipment is lower. Computers are lower. Everybody can learn the skills they need to make something very basic. So everybody who does that, I think, sort of competes for work where they're just realizing somebody else's vision to some extent, right? Like that's the production company business. And then as like directors and stuff like that, I mean, you work to be the one whose idea you're realizing. And I think we did compete for that kind of work for a while. And I'm not saying that was not something that we did poorly, but I don't know that we went up and did better and better things as much as we found something that was a much better fit for our crazy obsessive minds. TV shows, especially this particular aspect to it, we have complete creative control, and the production of it. I mean, the 25 episodes on the road of a food show is like being on tour and playing like 4 instruments at once, and then you're making like the dumbest thing imaginable in a certain sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've
can't
actually
ever think-
toured before as a musician, and I gotta tell you, it's a very, very similar experience. Like,
so touring and making TV is kind of the same.
absolutely, but way crazier because your day is more like 12 hours as opposed to like a sound check the day before, the
Oh, I
day,
see what
morning
you're
of, and then just a 2-hour concert, and then you go home.
And then when you get home, there's more work.
Post-production.
Post-production.
Editing and everything.
I think we have found through many things that we tried to work and didn't work that our great unifying like tendency is that we love being responsible for things that shouldn't work. Like I think that's the idea. If it's difficult to do, if it shouldn't work that way, then we can figure out how to do it.
But do you guys? All right, but do you feel that you really need that kind of? Well, you want to say something? Do you feel like you have some like really need creative control over like corporate videos and things like that? Like
Yes.
No, not
Yes.
not necessarily.
yes.
But like, okay, so if you are a company and you give me a video to make, then you already have the creative for, right?
Okay.
And you say yes or no to. Am I going to make it any better than production company B? Mm-hmm. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, we're just executing your idea. Mm-hmm. But if you let me compete where the idea is mine and I can execute most of the way through before you say yes or no, I mean, I feel much more confident in my idea.
I see what you're saying.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
I think it's... we have the same titles as other people who do our work, but it's different. And
Yeah.
you do different things. And for us, we have found that where we can ideate, where we can, I don't know, bring our own point of view into it a little bit more is more engaging for us. And I think we do better work.
I feel you. I feel
Yeah,
you.
like we want to be the ones in control to decide, like, how about the tag phrase Nike, just do it. You know, as
Yeah.
opposed to you coming to me and being like, this is our brand, this is our...
This is how it's gonna be. This is what I want it to be, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, because, you know, I don't know if I could make that ad better than everyone else, but I feel I'm confident enough that I can make a better idea.
Let the record show, though, as a mercenary, I'm very happy to take any work as long as you have everything in a budget that's in order. But also, we'd like to have some creative control.
All right, so you feel as a creative, it's easier for you to make something when it's fully in your control to actually to bring that vision to fruition.
I mean, I think we know that we're never going to be fully controlled, but I think it's nice when the client trusts you to make
So you want the
creative
trust of the
decisions.
client. You basically want the client to give you the trust to create whatever it is that their idea is. Do you guys sit down? So this goes into what I was trying to get into my next step. As a digital production house, right? And you guys also do film as well, right? So as a production house, do you guys feel like you need to go in this direction when you're making TV where it makes everybody happy and you're trying to gain customers? Or do you feel like it's like, oh, I want to be as creative as possible and like shy away from like maybe I might do something a little taboo that might offend a customer or something, but it's a more attractive visual or it's a more attractive commercial to produce or et cetera, et cetera.
I mean, I think if I can say one aspect to it, I mean, we are ultimately custodians of what the thing is supposed to do, right? Like, I'm not going to make you Apocalypse Now if you're trying to sell me some macaroni and cheese. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, but we could, though.
If you ask me to make a macaroni and cheese commercial, I will figure out how to make a macaroni and cheese commercial that does what you want it to and does what I want it to.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I think we create within the parameters to make the best version of that thing. So,
Your version of the best version of that thing.
absolutely, but it's always that. I mean, every one of those decisions informs everything that you do.
It's a collaboration.
If you look at Chef Boyardee with that fucking Donny Osmond, Lil
Yo,
Yachty
did you know he was a
song.
real person?
What, Donny Osmond?
No, Chef Boyardee.
Yes.
Chef Boyardee was a real man?
He was
I
a
did
real
not know
man.
that.
He was an actual Italian man who made
And his name was Chef Boyardee?
Chef Boyardee.
Nah,
That's a
I'm
real
sure he's
dude.
not happy that
We're gonna
his
start
name
the
is on the side of
party.
those cans.
No,
No
dog,
one's
he's
happy
mad
about
happy.
it.
He's the shit, but the Boyardee fortune is enormous.
Yeah, I mean, his family might be
Is
happy, but
he
him.
mad because his family is being provided for? I think not.
These
Nah,
raviolis
that's
are
true.
inferior.
He's
if
the
you
one
put
that
it
came
in a-
up with the idea of adding the flavor of aluminum can.
No.
Why do you have to say? Why do you have to say adding the flavor of aluminum
Mamma
can?
mia,
it's
this is
Italian.
good as aluminum.
I didn't know Brian spoke Italian.
Aluminum number 7. These motherfuckers, I didn't say that. Aluminum number 7.
Now I just feel like a
so
poor
you
man.
guys, at being a digital production house, if you were to give somebody else who's coming into the industry some advice, or if you were to tell yourselves like 5 years, like in the past, one piece of advice, what would that piece of advice be for yourself?
Just do it.
All right, come on.
Oh, boo.
It's true, man.
To a certain extent,
listen,
she's
I'm gonna
right.
be honest with you. I went to school I spent a lot of money, and I think I could have probably
Spend
learned
that
at
money
the
on
same.
vacation?
No, I could have learned at the same rate just by getting out there and assisting and working my way up, and I would have been making money instead of spending it.
Okay, that's a good idea. That's a good perception. You what would you tell yourself 5 years ago, 5 years before, in the past?
To get into original content sooner. No, I think
Original content?
Yeah, the original content like this. No, I think that film is it's a weird thing because I mean, like most creative things, you have to give yourself some space to fail for a long time, right? I mean, I could tell you don't do jump cuts because jump cuts look bad, but it isn't until you make a bad edit that you look at it, you're like, oh, that's shitty, you know?
Yeah.
like you need to sort of have a tactile understanding of why the rules are there. But I think if I had to give advice to someone that was younger, in some extent, it's what you're really figuring out how to do is when to develop an idea all the way through and when to give up on it. You know, and I've seen people fail both ways. When they give up on something too soon, or they followed something that was shitty and they should have known was shitty.
Yeah, but
the
that's
whole
a
way
really
through.
hard. Come on, dog. That's a really hard.
Life is
call,
hard, dog. Life is
Yeah,
hard.
it's
Life
something
is
you
hard.
learn with
Believe me, I
time.
agree with you 100%. Life is hard, but telling a young person to know when to give up on something, when to go,
Not
to
their dreams. I
fruition-
mean a project.
Okay.
Like an individual project. You gotta understand, like for us, making a film is like having a wedding that you don't have enough money to make every few weeks, over and over and over and over again. A chaotic wedding that people don't want to go to.
I have no sympathy for wedding planners and people planning weddings. I could do that shit in a week.
Y'all ain't got shit.
Oh my god, come on,
Nope,
bro.
y'all ain't got
Try
shit.
me.
Acting like you're fucking. So then why don't you go into wedding planning? Because there's a shitload of bread in that motherfucker.
Because you know what?
dog.
Then I don't have weekends and no one respects me.
Oh,
Whoa,
so
that
you
was-
mean to tell me
That
that?
was rough.
fucking-
That was rough. The wedding planning
She's
industry,
right.
Cafeteria Films supports you and loves you just fine.
I worked in the wedding
The
industry.
opinions of the individuals does not represent the company.
No.
Do not represent.
Half the company's on board with this.
I worked in the wedding industry. They look at you like the help.
But
Who looks at you like the help?
Literally
Yes,
everyone.
Everyone. They
Of
look
course, but who gives a fuck? You're getting paid way more than they are to show up there.
Nope.
I think that
It
is
does
that-
not pay as well as you think it does.
that is the idea. I mean, we need to.
And even if it did, is that a reason
It's
to
a
treat
miserable
people that way?
existence. I'm so sorry.
Do you live in Miami or not? Like everybody looks at everybody like, what the fuck are you doing here if you're not wearing the right everything everywhere?
You're talking
Like,
about
come on.
how it is. I'm talking about how it should be.
How it should be, of course. I mean, if we want to talk about how it should be, then motherfucker, come on, dog. That's
It
the
could be how it
never-ending
is, but it's-
conversation right there. How it should be, dog. You know
How
what I'm
it do with Darwin Figueroa.
How it should be with D Fig. Holla at your boy. I would never stop
Power
talking, dog.
106.
I think the point of how the wedding thing brings up to this is that like making a film, writing a film, editing a film, all that's hard. It's hard to do, and like you need to validate your idea a bunch of different times through the process, right? And that's why it helps to have collaborators and helps to have people that you trust to look at things over and over again. And I think what you get better at doing is understanding what's working and what's not. And I wish it was easier to develop that sense, but it's not. It's just time and effort.
So it just takes time for you to know what it is, what kind of project you should drop and which one you should keep working on.
Not even knowing, you're just fucking up. Like you just have to keep fucking up until you
Yeah.
stop fucking up a little less.
But okay, let's say you're fucking up on one project that you really have a lot of heart for, but that's not the project you should be pursuing because it's not opening up the doors for you. How do you differentiate that from other projects that are going to open up more avenues for you to be more creative in other ways, you know?
You tell the story that you need to tell. And if you really have it in your heart to fucking say it, you're going to do it. But if you look at it from the perspective of like trying to map it out from the sense of, oh, this is going to open more doors and stuff like that, you can. And there are elements of like creating original content versus like I'm making a movie or I'm making a show or I'm making a this. So if you want to categorize it, there's a way to look at it in which you can kind of like say like, well, this won't give me enough return on investment for what I'm trying to do and stuff like that. You need to get that deep into it. Like, especially if you're younger and just starting out, it's like, just keep making things until you like them more and then find other people who think like you and try and support them as much as you can.
That's fairly easy to say for somebody who's like young and doesn't have to pay bills. But when somebody who wants to jump in this and they're older, they're not going to have that kind of time to like,
Don't do
let me
this.
keep doing this or keep doing that. That's
Well, it's not for somebody who's, and again, I hate the idea of you're never too old to fucking start doing things. Because it's true, and it's a fucking truism, and we hate that shit. But it's still not that untrue. You can take your iPhone and go shoot some fucking bullshit ass movie. It's fine. You can make a short.
Soderbergh did it?
You can make Steven Soderbergh.
Oh.
Again, the guy who operates his own cameras.
The guy
Ocean's
did,
11.
Florida
project. Yep.
Wait,
It's
Tangerine.
good one, yeah.
Tangerine.
Oh, the other
that
guy.
whole movie is filmed on an iPhone.
I'm sorry, that was my bad. I thought you meant Steven Soderbergh.
But I think
No.
there's
Because he
this
did the
idea-
iPhone
Soderbergh
one
did
too.
Insane.
Because he did the
if
iPhone
you
one too.
have an incredible idea for a movie and you make a script and then you self-produce your script and you self-edit the script on your first go around, there's a almost 100% chance it's going to be garbage. And I
But
think
you know what? You made something, and you probably learned something from it.
And
So-
we're going to talk about percentages. You're above 98% of the people out there.
Exactly.
but
Yeah.
I think the doing all those things, that is exactly what you have to be doing. The point is to do things that you can learn from, and to do things where it's a shorter script or a shorter movie or a shorter post-production process, something that is attainable, so you can fail fast and quickly and keep going and keep learning from it.
So fail, but fail fast and fail forward.
Absolutely, yeah.
Facebook shit.
Failure is the most important part of this process.
You're gonna fail.
I see you guys have that filmmaking and suffering sign
It's right above our editing desk, so we
right
feel better
above
about
the
ourselves.
editing desk and above. You guys are looking at that shit 24/7. So I mean, is that really the mantra? Like it's a fucking headache and it's hard as fuck to get it right.
I love this and I don't want to do anything else.
Yeah.
But if you don't absolutely love making videos, this is the worst job in the whole fucking world.
You can do everything right and do one fucking thing wrong. I don't know, like there's a random dick in the background of your shot, and there goes your passion project. It's fucked. There's a dick in the background. There's nothing you can do. You know what I mean? Like
Damn shame.
The margin of error is really, really small in some instances, and it has to come from love and sacrifice, or else
You
the
could
work isn't
also
worth it.
do something great. Your friends love it. Your client loves it, and you notice that you messed up one thing, and it will haunt you forever.
Or
Yeah, I
you just
guess.
drop it and move
Yeah.
on.
Do you
Honestly,
think this is
you
like
can do what you want.
an industry that's like heavily inundated with OCD people because of the detail orientedness to it?
I don't
No.
think so. I think there's a lot more, a lot of more things happen by chance than we think they do.
Just look
Yeah.
at the IMDb flubs page. Like if you literally go through IMDb, there's literally a page dedicated to every movie that says what they fucked up. The world is out there to be the person to judge you, so don't be the person to judge yourself. You're gonna fuck up. It's gonna be kind of trash, whatever it is. As long as you made the fucking thing and you're down with it, get it out there and move on to the next project.
Learn from it and keep going.
That's cool, man. I just the last one of the previous interviews that I just did was with Giancarlo. One of you guys know him. He was talking to me about in filmmaking. There's like really two ways to go about it. Is either through just like pure emotion or like really be really good technically. And he leans more towards the emotional side, where he lets his emotion take a hold and creating his videos. What do you guys feel? Is there like a equilibrium you should have to strike there? Or is it something that you have to like sit back and really think about each individual shot before you go into the field? Are you like very technical, or are you just like, let's do this and I feel like this is the way it's gonna come out, and whatever of it I'm gonna fix it in post-production or do something in post-production?
I feel like that's a difficult question to answer because like film is both an art form, but it's also a craft, and you have to approach it from both angles always. You know, art doesn't have a set of rules. You know, like art is art.
Yeah, there's no yeah.
But the craft part of filmmaking, like if you don't do that well, get the fuck out of here. You know, like
So you got to know your craft.
Sort of.
I think everyone works differently. Some directors are very technical, and some DPs are very technical, and some are very just go by feeling. I think the way that people make that work is by surrounding themselves with teams that fill in the gaps where they're lacking. Film is a very collaborative medium, I guess.
So you need like an assistant DP to tell you, hey, you fucking up
Not
right
an
here.
assistant DP, but maybe your director is more feeling based and your DP is more technical based. So there's a lot of kind of give and take, and you bring in people that round out the whole project.
Because
as
it
opposed
could
to-
be very like anal, where somebody's like, these are the shots and these are what we have to do, and they're like, well, look at this is freaking dope, and like let's try to get this, and they'll be like, no, this is not in the shot list. Like I think of it like that. That's how I approach. Like I'm thinking like,
I mean,
somebody's
you
gonna
have
be
to,
very
you have
like,
to you have to think about it from the perspective of, okay, so I'm going to interpret your question to mean, is it intentionally a certain way or is it like it just happens to be a certain way because a person made it and that's who they are, right?
I mean, sometimes, yeah, that's exactly it. But sometimes it could be like, this is how I am. And then other people are just like very technical. Like, I took every shot that I knew it was going to be to this fucking result.
But there's a thing. Have you ever heard of auteur theory?
No.
So it's this idea that like one person is responsible for the genius and the brilliance of a film.
Okay.
Right? It's
like
a
the
common
auteur,
idea,
yeah.
Common idea in film criticism, and you know this. I mean, if you listen to film, you know about Kubrick, you know about Coppola, you know about the geniuses, and like Hitchcock, yeah.
Fellini.
And as important as all of those people are, like I think a lot of why we try to be a little bit more democratic about assigning the creative value to each of us is that that's fucking bullshit. Like, right? I mean, I just because
I don't think it's bullshit. I just think everyone works differently.
No, it's bullshit.
I think in the end,
No, it's bullshit.
If you can lay, and I'm going to let Carl speak about this point. If you can name one film in which one person carried the entirety of the fucking project on themselves, the answer is never.
I mean, yeah, but I think the vision of it, there's a lot of director DPs.
But the people that do that, you open yourself up to knowing that you don't know enough, and you like having a conversation with someone that knows more than you and will turn you on to a new idea. Always.
Yes.
Every fucking time.
But I think it's more of like a different idea in execution.
Maybe you have people who are more open and allow in more things, so they just get the title of genius or whatever it is, but like they're always being inspired by somebody else, and they're always the first people to give credit to somebody else. It was like, you know what, man, like the sun was going down and my DP was like this, and his second AC was like, I know if you go over this ridge here, you show with the camera, they do this. The stunt coordinator had like a fucking series of firecrackers in his back pocket, and shit just worked out.
And the editor bailed him out of both of their shitty ideas.
Exactly.
But I think.
But what I'm saying is, it's just giving people credence that it's not just one motherfucker. Or, I guess, what's the female term for motherfucker?
Because it's hard, bro.
Any motherfucker.
You guys work in a medium that is both commercial, which is it has to fit a certain thing, and art. And art is just whatever the fuck you want it to be. Like, I could shit on a canvas and put it up on a fucking wall and be like, this is my version of art. And people
It's
be like,
also
yeah.
real smelly.
I mean,
Why haven't you done it yet?
Not really. That's not
Picasso
100%
did it.
the truth.
What do you mean? He shit in a can and he put his name on it and it's art, okay?
Who said that?
Dali shit in fucking aluminum cans and put his fucking name on the side of it and he called it art, homie.
No, it didn't become art until he put it in a place for people to see it.
Until he put it in a can so people could see it.
I mean, Carl's,
He put it in a gallery.
He could shit on a can, and
Yeah,
it's not
I'm
art.
saying.
He made
He
it art
shit
when
in
he
a
brought it
can
to
and
the
you
place
put it
where
in
you
a
look at art.
gallery, exactly.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's okay. So you mean to tell me that outside of the gallery wasn't art and inside of the gallery is
Yes.
art?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
That was the fucking
Yes.
differentiation
That's all
point?
it is.
Absolutely,
Fucking
absolutely
door?
the truth. Yeah.
Some would call it context.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the.
No, that's a plug
the
for our
definition
movie.
Of that is a completely separate
Okay.
idea and concept. But
Go look at our Vimeo.
I think
Vimeo? What's your Vimeo? What is it?
no, we.
This is an
Cafeteria
argument we've
Films.
had for a long time, and
Cafeteria.
Carlos
the
literally.
meaning of art. It's a movie, a short film I wrote about
Okay.
this particular concept.
All right.
The
The meaning of
argument
art.
they're having. But
And it's true.
yeah, it's a thing that I think often. But yeah, film is too it's too broad a thing. It takes too much time. There's too many things that have to go right for any one person to take responsibility for everything that does go right to it. Right? I think I don't know if I'm misattributing this quote to Hitchcock, but I remember hearing something about like 90% of directing actors is getting good actors, right? Which is really, I mean, if you think about it, how much does casting the right person have to do in the performances that we assign to a director? How much does that location being beautiful have to do with the beautiful shot we assign to that DP? There's
Yeah.
a million happenstances in trying to create reality and giving you a cut up version of it for you to interpret what I want you to feel. And there's a million versions of what we want to feel. And I think it's a beautiful random thing that we're lucky enough to get to do, and it's certainly not the responsibility of any one person attached to it. Unless you did all of it, in which case, go you.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. If you're fucking operating the camera, you're producing it.
You do a whole
No,
nine.
even then, if you have an actor, like again, the only person that I guess I can give credence at this point is if you somehow made the next Academy Award-winning short film using selfie mode on your iPhone and kind of ran with it. Like again, I'd love to see what that looks like. I'm happy to let that idea suck for a minute and see something
So
great.
being that all you guys are from Dade County, from Miami-Dade County, do you feel that you bring more tropical, like or a different approach to filmmaking? Being that, first of all you guys are from Miami.
Yep.
You decided to
not
put
Brian. Brian's from New Jersey.
Okay, well, Brian, when you get here?
I was like 9 or 10.
Okay, you're from Miami, dog.
Yeah, I'm from Miami.
You went to
What for you?
What middle school did you go to?
W.R.
Oh,
Thomas.
you
There's
definitely
your
from
answer.
Miami, dog. That's
You.
it. So all you guys are from Miami. You guys set up your production house in Miami.
Que Bola, the podcast that asks you what middle school you go to.
You gotta, hey,
And I know what you meant.
and I know what you're talking about. So,
Rockway represent.
everybody knows what's up. Rockway, what's up? Everybody know what Rockway. That's Westchester, no place better. You know what
Brought
I'm
to you
saying?
by Presidente Supermarket.
I wish Presidente would give me a fucking sponsorship, dog.
Fabuloso.
I'll be on that bitch, yo.
We can probably get Presidente.
Get Presidente, dog. You heard Presidente's the owner? He's getting like accused of murder. And shit. Yeah.
Of what, Presidente?
Yeah, the Presidente owner.
Tight.
He's like he
It was
tried to
somebody that
murk
his wife was having
somebody.
an affair with or something,
Some
right?
shit. Yes.
Oh,
His wife-
Que
that's
Bola brought
super
to you
Miami.
by
That is a sick
Versailles
Miami
story.
story.
Croquetas.
Straight up.
I'm gonna go ahead.
El brazo,
brazo fuerte.
I'm gonna go
He
ahead.
tried to chop him
Maria,
off.
¿por qué?
I'm gonna go ahead and call this podcast. This is as close as we're gonna get to sealing. What do you call it when you like mail yourself the idea for a story? Like we're taking that story. I want to write that story.
That
sounds amazing.
Murder
call-
for hire.
Yeah,
bro.
we called it. Cafeteria Films called it. That's what's happening. That's our next
That's how the
project.
law works, actually.
That's it. You can look it up. Go for it. I dare you.
The shotgun statute of.
Just write the script,
So
send
being
it off
that
to
you
the
guys
Library of
are from Dayton,
Congress.
Do you feel that you bring like a different approach? Like, all you guys are for the most part are first generation or second generation Americans. Do you feel you bring a different approach to filmmaking because of that? Does that give you like a different insight that other people? You do travel throughout the fucking world. You guys go to like Mississippi and like Memphis, places like that. You know what I'm saying? That also you go to awesome places like Seattle and Boston, but like you go to other places that you might not be. You're not as welcomed or whatnot, like if you were in Miami, you know? So, like, do you feel that you bring a different approach to your filmmaking because of that? Do you feel that it gives you a different sazon?
Maybe.
I mean, of course
so.
it does, but like that's not really a choice. Like
Obviously, it's
a
not
unique
a choice.
voice is from a unique background, and up until now, most voices that have been represented in film has been one monotone voice. You know, white male directors,
White
writers.
Anglo-Saxon male.
Yeah.
with beards.
So yeah,
Type
naturally,
yourself.
of course, we have a new angle, something new to say because of our life experiences. But that's not something I'm actively combating. I'm not. When I write or try to create a new video, I'm not sitting like, what new thing could I say? I'm just saying what seems true to me.
I think there's a unique part of being from here, and especially being from west of the Palmetto, like most of us are from. I think that growing up, we didn't have adult people who were doing creative stuff that lived in Miami to look up to, right? And being being from the other side of the Palmetto and looking at the culture around you as very Hispanic, and you raised on Nickelodeon and Nick Jr.
Yeah.
and fucking Dick Van Dyke and shit, you're just like, I don't relate to this. I'm not who this is not who I am, right? So it feels like, we are from a small town where we were misunderstood. But I think that's not unique to us. That's unique to our generation. We're the first people that are from here that are trying to make something out of this place. That didn't leave because the real estate's kind of decent. The drugs are good. No.
Yes.
It's high.
The food's
No,
good.
they
No.
the best.
Food's good.
I
Food's
think we are trying to make something out of this place that reflects ourselves better. And that's true in how I interact with everybody around me, and that's true about my art.
I feel you. So you feel that in South Florida, it's giving you the opportunity to tell the narrative that you wanted told when you were
I think
coming up.
all of us that are a part of this generation of people from Miami have this opportunity to define what people from Miami are like. Don't let other people tell us that we're the fucking extras in the club scene with Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. Fuck that, man.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah, that's true. That is
Because
very
we're
true.
not.
Right. I mean, there's
We're a
the,
very eclectic bunch here.
yeah. I mean, there's the idea of if you ever think it, you think like, well, I'm trying to make a Miami film. That's always my frustration. A lot of people feel like I need to represent something. It's almost a stereotype. We're as much influenced by let's say New York or LA, even though LA is a soft Miami, and I've said that from the beginning.
Soft Miami?
It's literally a soft Miami.
I never heard that fucking reference. What do you mean soft Miami?
LA is a soft Miami.
soft.
Squishy.
Same shit that you would fucking deal with in Miami. Just people who don't want to fucking tell you that they don't like your idea or they're trying to run away. It's some bullshit ass shit. We're just as influenced by fucking everything because we're, and again, for lack of a better word, fucking melting pot or whatever it is. We got a bunch of people who are fucking transient, show up, do a couple things. And so to Carlos's point, like now we're fucking getting a language all our own, but we're just open. And it's the idea that you just make the fucking shit that you want to make. So like your question is like, you know,
Do you get
being
an extra,
from Miami,
yeah.
like, do I have like an extra boost? Like, I get an extra boost if there's some weird shit that I can't quite explain if I tried to put it in a different city. Like if I tried to do a
Straight
story,
up Miami shit. That's basically giving you the extra sazon.
but for me, it's like it's in the specificity of the story. It's not like how we came to it, or if our process is that different, or whatever. Like it's the story itself. Like there are stories that can only be told here, and that's the kind of shit that I like.
Not only that can only be told here, but could be told better by somebody who's from here because of their perspective and of their purview.
Sure, and I mean, and on that note, it's if I was to think of like Pain and Gain was done by a Miami-based director instead of Michael Bay, which all props to Michael Bay. I adore that man, and it's a great film. But it's
He
like,
lives here, doesn't he? Though.
what's up? Sort of, yeah.
Everybody kind of like part-time resident here.
Yeah, but like
Yeah.
Michael Bay is not like a local. Like, what if you got like a local Miami person to do that story? Like, it would probably be worse, actually, to be honest. But I'm just curious to see like what that would look like, because there would be a lot of weird idiosyncrasies to it that would be different.
I think it's really weird to like try to, I don't know, like get people to, I don't know, to look to people to tell a different story because of where they're from, where everyone's exposed to a bunch of different things. I grew up on I Love Lucy and watching Nickelodeon. And,
Yeah, but you also grew up eating
but I-
mofongo
but
in
I-
a Dominican household.
Of course. So I think I don't know that that's necessarily a Miami thing. Yeah, Miami is one of the aspects of it, but I think it's more of how we grew up. I don't know that I can't say that I grew up like typical Miami girls, like.
But what is a typical Miami girl? If you're gonna say that,
everyone thinks that it's what do they say? Is it like, hey,
But
Tati?
I think
There's a bunch of different answers
even if what
there.
Debbie's saying in that case are like platitudes that don't really mean anything, she grew up feeling like she was not a typical Miami girl. You know what I'm saying?
So,
and
and-
that informs her choices.
Exactly. But even still, like, I've done some things that might seem like typical Miami girl, but that doesn't necessarily
make you a typical Miami
exactly.
girl.
So I think the idea of putting everyone in a certain box, like, okay, this person, yeah, they grew up on Ren and Stimpy, but they were also a girl growing up that went to Southwest. You can't do that because we all have different experiences. We all have I spent 6 months with a bunch of BMX bikers.
But let me stop you here. If everybody goes through those different experiences together in a community, that shapes that community and that person
Yes.
and those people.
There are
if
certain-
everybody goes through those particular.
But the story there is the people. The problem with a lot of these, like, I want to tell a story about Miami, is they're too focused on Miami the city and not Miami the people. Like, I don't want to see a movie where it's just like, Celia Cruz references in croquetas. Like, that's bullshit. That's
not her-
nothing.
Celia Cruz and
But
croquetas.
like living here and experiencing that in my childhood, does change my perspective on how I analyze the politics of this country, or like the power dynamics of the city or the country.
And
Like,
also
that's
what
interesting.
food should cost.
Well, we have no
like,
concept
that's
of
where
that.
How
the
do they make a
interesting-
profit? The croqueta's a quarter.
I think that's where the story in Miami is.
It's funny.
I think that's where the story anywhere is. I think
right.
assuming
Well,
that
friction, drama, right? I mean, it's the idea. Where do the people feel like they don't belong? Where does the fight happen? Where do the people who don't like each other live? I mean, that's where you have to find your inspiration and the things to fight for and against.
Yeah, and trying to find people who are like-minded. I mean, you don't want people who are like-minded in the sense that you're a fucking sycophant or anything like that. But like, I think of like when Deb's saying like, spending time with BMXers and stuff like that. Like, I grew up skating. I didn't have a lot of fucking friends who skated with me and stuff like that. The fact that there was a community within the same community that you would think, oh, you all just come together. You fucking don't. Y'all motherfuckers over there doing that shit. Like,
I
I'm
had
not gonna
no idea that there was a BMX scene in Miami.
And there
Who would have
is.
thought that?
I knew about
Yeah,
it.
now you can see that, but what was that, like 7, 8 years ago?
You probably could have seen that then too, though. I think that's a part
But
of.
I wasn't exposed to that.
I think there's that idea, right? That like, I mean, I'm sure all kids from the burbs in their own way feel that, where they're just like, I didn't know this was in this city. And it's like, yeah, but you weren't exposed to that idea.
Yeah, but you
Look,
never
if you go
left
looking
Kendall. Like,
Yeah,
what the fuck?
Yeah, but the most that I have, again, and in this particular instance, where the fuck am I gonna go? Like, am I gonna go to a fucking skate park where it's like fucking 3 kids on a fucking razor scooter and that's our fucking skate scene or a fucking BMX scene?
I mean,
no,
you can
this
start the scene, and that's fine. But I didn't know there was a skate park a couple blocks from my house.
But those motherfuckers that you were fucking shooting,
But
things
whose
like that.
responsibility is it to know that?
No one's. It's literally
It's
you
no
as a
one's,
tastemaker.
but I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of like there are things that go on that we don't know about, and and some people do know about them, and that shapes who they become and in who they develop into. And there's other people that will never know that there was a skate park 3 blocks away from their house, and they will continue on to do whatever they. So like everyone's experience is different. The things might be there, but everyone takes their own little different paths, and that doesn't mean that anyone's story is more valid or less valid than anyone else's.
It's just that you tell it. And again, to that point, the idea of all these different stories, it's like, that's what film is. It's happy accidents.
So this is my last question for you guys. All
We're
right.
gonna talk about the Jose Marti Skate Park's marketing department. They really gotta at least flyer that neighborhood.
Y'all
They
should
didn't know.
try like a little
Jose
harder.
Marti, let people know that you
Jose
poppin'.
Marti
Shout out-
Kickflip International.
Shout out
out
fucking
Jose Marti.
Kendall Indian Hammocks Park. Y'all got that dope ass nature trail. $300 to go shoot there. It's mad cheap. Chilling.
Nice.
Do you
8
ever feel-
different
you know what?
locations.
I have a question for you, Darwin. And did you always love Miami?
Yeah.
Really?
Well,
How old were you when you got here?
I was born here. I was born and raised in Miami. I was born in Jackson, Miami Jackson. I was the first one to fucking be born here out of my family. All my family was born in Colombia, and I was the first one born here. And as soon as I always had like this love-hate relationship with Miami, but I always really loved it more than I hated it.
Do you find that like your adulthood and like part of your experience in being an adult is like learning to love the place that you're from to some extent?
Yeah, definitely, because I hated a part of it growing up. Like I was like, oh my God, this is so chachi and this is so like. But then I realized that what I hated about Miami wasn't Miami. What I hated was the narrative that was being told by media of what Miami was, and that's what I hated it of. But I didn't actually hate Miami. I loved Miami. It was just that like everybody else saw Miami as this one thing, and that's what I hated. And I still hate that shit to this day. Like,
And that's why you gotta hear every
you
episode of the Que Bola podcast.
yeah, for
So
sure.
you don't want to go to Mango's right now and cruise up and down.
Yeah, when I moved here, I hated Miami for a long
Really,
time.
I learned
I love it
to
now.
kind of start appreciating Miami when I was hanging out with the BMX kids, and we were going out and like I was photographing them in the streets of downtown and seeing Miami in a different way than I had ever seen it before. And that's when I was like, okay, maybe Miami isn't that bad.
Yeah, when you start seeing it in different perspectives, because when somebody's telling you what Miami is and you're eating that shit up, you're like, that's just so whack. But you're like, no, that's not what Miami is. Go fuck yourself, dog. You know what I'm saying? Like, stop telling me these lies, dog. Like, I see Miami, I live here, and I see Miami as a different thing, and that's not what you're telling me it is, and that's not what you're telling the rest of the nation what it is. So go fuck yourself, bro. Like, that's where it pisses me off.
No, absolutely. And then you go to other cities that are supposed to be better. You go to Austin. I like Austin. It's not so bad. Sorry,
Whack.
sorry people from Austin.
Y'all fine.
But like you go to Austin, Texas, and people talk about, oh, it's amazing. And what does it have? It has like 3 places that play punk venues, breakfast tacos, and like I don't know. Everybody
We
has
have a
tattoos.
local
That's
beer.
not a thing, man. You can get Orgegas for 25 cents in every street corner, dog.
Yes, and
Like,
every fucking.
It's
You know what I
incredible.
love about Miami? The
That's
fucking
also just as
Ventanitas.
petty as the
no, but that's an original thing.
But
You
it's
know
the
what I
fact
mean?
that
Like,
they're so.
I think-
It's the
I
fact that
think
they're so hype about it, and it's like, this is what makes my city great.
the breakfast tacos are pretty hype, though.
so
you know what?
tight.
I'm
Great
gonna stop
tacos.
talking shit about
I'm
that.
not gonna
That
talk
is-
shit about
that is
tacos.
equivalent to
But
croquetas.
every city is fucking incredible. But your fucking ability to just keep saying like, "But my fucking city," and it's like, you know what, man? Maybe it's not that great.
No, and listen, to some people it might be great, but I like Miami. The more I travel,
The more you want.
the
the
more
more I
unique we
like
find
Miami.
this place, I think, especially.
Yeah, the more unique you
there
find
really is
Miami.
no
It's
particular place like this. in the
crazy how
States.
unique
I will
Miami
say,
is.
through our TV show, we've been to 20-something cities in the U.S. in the last year. We've enjoyed all of them. I'm gonna leave that there.
Question mark?
Well, what's the one city we
Was
haven't
that
really
question
enjoyed?
mark?
We had a really bad time in one. Mississippi was kind of whack.
Actually,
I'm
actually,
sorry.
no, I'm sorry.
Biloxi is
I will
pretty
take
whack.
the time. I will
defer
take
to the
the
corn
time to
dog
say,
video.
Which
That's a good time.
Mississippi had a lot of trips to Walmart.
Mississippi was fine.
Actually, no. The official Cafeteria Films position is fuck Oakland.
Oh, fuck Oakland.
Fuck Oakland. I mean, y'all.
I
were
mean, I
there,
think cool
that's
shit's coming
nice,
out of Oakland, but
nah.
you stole our shit.
They stole
fuck
our shit
you.
in Oakland. It was absolutely our fault, but still fuck Oakland.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yo, in Mississippi, someone came up to me and was like, yo, where are you from? And I was like, Miami. And he's like, no, but where are you really from? And I was like, Jersey? And like, there is parts of the country still that like,
Or backwards as fuck.
a little unapproachable.
Although
A little unapproachable. I like the way you leave that. So, being that you guys work in this industry, you are from Miami. Do you feel that Miami is getting its own film language?
No.
It's starting.
I
is-
hope not.
I mean,
You
what
hope
is it?
not?
Yeah.
No, I hope we have a lot of artists coming out of Miami that go
Yeah.
big. But like a language that we cohesively blend to, like I don't, every artist is.
No, I
here's
think
the
it's
main-
starting.
Here's the main thing that's changed with Miami. This is when you watch CSI Miami, and I know this is
That's not
terrible
what
thing.
Miami's like. I'm sorry.
Correct. But if you look, they do one particular thing that I find really interesting about people who are just starting out making stories about Miami. Every time that one of them shows up to the scene, they go, "Oh, I just got here on the Rickenbacker Causeway. Oh, I just got here on the..." And it's very geographic based, and they keep harping on these points. And I remember many, many moons ago, I was working in a pharmacy, and we had a client who like ran a bank or something, like homie, like self-finance his own books. And he's like, "Oh, you're a writer. You should check out his shit." So they give me a bunch of his books, and I'm reading them, and it literally read like a fucking like Google Maps description of where these characters were going, and he really like harped on these fucking geographic locators. And I'm like, is that a thing for people? So if you want me to think that there's a fucking Miami language to film, it's really telling people exactly where you are at any given
In
time.
each crossway.
And if
But
you want to
the-
make it realistic, all of the characters are late.
Always.
Every
Always.
time. But the fact that that's receded and people are just,
Doomed to show up because I had backup plans.
yeah. The main thing, I mean, it's not that Miami has a film language, it's just that people have understood that there are unique and weird stories that can only be told in Miami, and they are absolutely capitalizing on that. That for sure.
That's cool. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the position of Miami having its own film language. It's kind of cool that people are really in film here are really growing the industries locally, even though that tax break shit fucked the whole state
Yeah, but
up.
Andrew Gilliam wants back.
Andrew Gillum
Vote
saying that
Andrew Gillum.
he'll bring it
Vote
back. That'll
Andrew
be dope.
Gillum.
Maybe that'll be like a boost. You know what I'm
No,
saying?
I don't
Or
absolutely be a
fucking-
boost. I mean,
to develop its own film language though. Like Miami stars, a lot of filmmakers come from here, and then they'll start developing like a different.
No.
Nah.
I think
It's just mad tropical and
listen,
clear
is-
skies
is-
on during the
Does
winter.
Scarface mean Miami to you? No, but
Yes.
yes, too, right? I mean, Miami Vice, no, but yes too. Bad Boys,
Burn Notice.
Burn Notice.
Out of all of those,
TNT
Bad Boys
knows
seems
Dexter.
more Miami to me.
What?
Out of all the things that you mentioned, Bad Boys seems very Miami to me. Like I could see Bad Boys.
Paquete,
those
'cause
two
the
guys-
paquete is-
It's tremendo paquete.
We got
but
lots of
Miami's a lot
paquetes here.
paquete.
Miami Connection.
It's all out about like Miami Connections.
I mean, like, listen, from those 80s classes we're talking about to the things that our friends at Borscht make, you know what I mean? Like collectively in that side, all of those are valid interpretations of what the city is.
Yeah.
Because what the fuck is it? I don't know what you are.
I don't know.
No, actually, that's a good point that you both brought up. That reminded me of something happened to us in Portland. We went to like a bar a friend recommended me in Portland. It's a whiskey bar, very nice. You walk in, it's very old school. They walk up to your table. They bring up a fancy cart, and with a whole bunch of whiskeys, and then they ask you a few questions, and they find from your profile. They make recommendations. It's like really nice. And Carlos and I and Art really enjoyed it. But one thing that I think you mentioned was like we could never have something like this in Miami, right?
No, that was art.
That was Art. And Art said that. I agree because a week or two, maybe a month after a place like that is open, that place is going to be so jam packed because Miami is paquete. It's loud. It's like people want to be where the heat is. You know, like that place couldn't exist because they would, unless they like said 16 people only allowed. At any given time.
And then there would be a line down the fucking road.
And whoever owns that is gonna be like, turning down the money, pack this shit to the
fucking
gills.
fiesta outside, like right outside the door. You know, like they'll be like
We can't have nice
pandemonium.
things.
We can't have nice things.
As a sidebar for clarification, Art meaning Arthur Novo, not that the art was speaking to him. For our listeners at home, I'm
Sorry.
Side-
No. It's
Shout out to Art.
It's not. Shout out Arthur Novo. It's actually his birthday today.
Happy birthday,
Art.
Happy birthday.
Love you.
Shout out to our parents.
I love you, mommy and papi.
We love you.
My cat Slade.
Oh, I
So
love
if
Slade.
everybody
R.I.P.
wanted,
Jimmy Rice. Sorry.
so if anybody wanted to reach out to you guys are open for collabs to work with up and coming filmmakers and things like that, or people who are already established, or any brands or anything like that. Where can they reach out to you guys as a collective?
There's a form at the bottom of
At our website.
cafeteriafilms.com.
Say you heard us on the podcast, and we'll actually read your email.
Give me.
JK.
No, I read your email
Yeah.
anyway, really. I read your emails even if you say you want to work here and you want to make twice as much money as I make and
Nice.
you've never made a movie before. I'll read it.
We're here for you.
And individually on social media, where can you guys get reached at? You guys don't want to give your social media handles?
Mine, but Dev's got multiple.
What's your official social media?
I'm at I am Debbie J. Pretty much everywhere.
On where? On IG everywhere?
IG, Twitter.
I am Debbie J.
I'm never on Twitter, but sure, hit me up.
Okay, so
And I think
obviously
Facebook,
not.
too.
If you're not on that motherfucker, who's gonna hit you up on Twitter?
But on Instagram, you can hit me
IG,
up. I
alright.
am
How about you,
DEBIJ.
I'm at Think Carlos on Instagram and
at Think Carlos.
Think Carlos.
Okay,
Think Carlos in general. I don't know why I say at like a fucking
that's what it is.
like a
it's
machine.
Hey, man.
Little known fact about me, I love being sent photos of porcelain dolls, so please send as many as you can to my
Okay.
Facebook page, which I'm under the name Josh Hamill.
Okay, and your IG.
I don't have one.
Okay, all right.
He does.
He just doesn't feel like. My handle for everything is This Is Nelson. You can find me on everything from Twitter to Instagram to PlayStation Network. Where the fuck
PlayStation Network.
If I'm on the internet, I'm very open about it.
If you
so-
want to collaborate, hit us up. If you just want to come by and talk some shit about movies, we should be working on it. We'll probably actually engage in this conversation with you.
If you want to
I'm going to
play,
be 100% honest with you.
if you want to play Destiny with us, our handles are probably the same on PS4.
There
on
you go,
PS
bro. And
Network.
you guys locals as
PSN.
fuck in Little Havana. Here
Yeah, we're
in
in
the
Little
heart of Little Havana.
Right next to the Palacio de Jugos.
Palacio de Jugo, comiendo jugo todo el tiempo, ya tú sabes.
The only thing that I can tell people is, truthfully, if for whatever reason you've made it through the entirety of all this, thank you for being with us this whole time. It's been really fun, and I've had a great time, and I hope you did too. Truthfully, if you want to make films, go make films. If you want to make films, please hit us up. If you want to make films, go make films. And I'll repeat that one more time. If you want to make films, go make films.
That's
And if you have money.
Yeah.
555-5555.
People
Also-
die waiting around for inspiration. Don't get inspiration. Get good habits.
Also,
Good
shout out to
habits.
the Baymar Mofongo Party Mix.
Mofongo Party Mix had this shit lit.
A Fungal Party Mix edition.
Thank you so much once again, you guys, for coming on and talking to us and shooting the shit, letting everybody know how y'all popping off here in Dade County. Cafeteria Films Studios, bringing it in and repping the city and putting on all kinds of great productions. Till next time, if you guys like this, feel free to subscribe, hit it, share it with your friends, share it with your family, share it with your fucking enemies, share it with everybody. Just share this motherfucker, all right? Peace. It's D-Fig, Que Bola Podcast. Late.
You heard it there. I want to thank the crew of Cafeteria Film Studios, Debbie, Carlos, Brian, and Nelson. They are super awesome. They have helped me out from the beginning with the Que Bola Podcast. They produce very awesome. They produce sweet shit. They produce awesome things that we love to watch. And I'm so grateful to them. If you want to reach out to them, Cafeteria Film Studios, you already know where it's at. Each one of them and their individual IGs, you already heard that. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for listening to the Que Bola Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. If you love us, share it with your friends. If you hate us, share it with your enemies. Just share this motherfucker. It's your boy D. Holla at your boy when you see me in the street. Que Bola Podcast. Phresh Media. Peace.